All right, what's up, Vivica? Okay, I'm sorry. I have one ridiculous question because I've heard it both ways. Do you prefer Vivica or Vivica? Oh, you're muted. Is I thought I saw an E though in the
Vivica, yeah.
Oh
But
man,
yeah,
okay, I'm sorry.
when I taught skiing, I heard Velveeta, Vivitar, all sorts of things.
That's awesome. All right, so welcome to LinkedIn Together. This is our 121st or second episode, literally
21st.
lots. 121st episode, lots. So I'm glad to have you here. I'm Isaac, co-owner of Abound Social, together with Monty. So our whole goal here is just to have fun learning and be givers to the community for everyone who's in sales and marketing and wants to learn how to do a better job. And obviously, like a lot of us are in B2B, so LinkedIn's kind of one of our main wheelhouses there. So glad to have you here. Today, we are going to be having a special guest speaker, Mary Fain Brandt. And just kind of a little bit of a buildup for Mary. Mary and I met years ago, like years ago, doing what was, in my experience, the very first virtual LinkedIn event. This is like pre-COVID and everything. This is like, is it even possible to do a virtual event? So Mary was part of organizing and hosting that, and she was kind of one of the main superstars there. So that's where I first met her, and then she's been a panelist here for quite some time. So Mary is great. She's going to be sharing today on dusting up your profile and making it way better. I don't want to steal your thunder, Mary. So I'll let you take it from here. Rock and roll. I think I need to give you screen share permissions. So 1 second, and you
Okay,
are
well,
good
thanks
to
for
go.
that build up, Isaac.
You're welcome.
Good morning, everyone. I'm happy to be here. I hope that I change your life somehow. There's a lot of other LinkedIn experts here, but what I'm gonna, I want to make one thing clear, that this is not a how-to training. This is a why you need to do these things training. If it was how-to, we'd need a couple hours, right, guys? So let me go ahead and make sure. Isaac, can you tell me if the presentation
You got
is
it.
showing?
Yep, you got it.
So Houston, we have a problem. Your LinkedIn profile is not optimized. I see this all the time when I'm working with clients. Some very simple things can optimize your profile. So we're going to be going over all of that. Here's what we're going to be talking about. Reduce the glitter effect. You might know this as squirrel, but I like glittery things. And my husband always says glitter, which means I have lost my train of thought and I've been distracted. So I'm going to show you how to keep people on your profile. Also, who here wants to rank higher on Google and LinkedIn? Raise your hand. Heck yeah, right? When you Google someone, the first thing that most of the time appears at the top of the search is the LinkedIn profile. But you have to have this one thing done on your profile to make that happen. We're going to learn how to sprinkle the keywords. What does above the fold mean? And, the top 3 mistakes that people make, and the about you section, which is critical. And, are you on LinkedIn to connect and be found? Then why are you making it hard for people? So let's get started. A little bit, for all of you that I don't know, I put my email in the chat. I'm going to pretend that, or I'm going to assume that you're not going to sell me in the first message that you send to me. So go ahead and feel free to connect with me, but tell me that you met me here. Personally, born and raised in sunny San Diego, but now I'm a transplant over to sunny Surprise, Arizona. Master's in OL. I love color coding and organizing everything to the extreme. I love the lake, the ocean, the river, anything to do with the water. And I'm a big volunteer in my community wherever I'm living. Professionally, I am a LinkedIn strategist, speaker, and career coach. I've been a trainer for over 20 years. I know I don't look a day over 40, but this is true. I'm a super connector. I love to connect people, places, and products. And I've worked with, trained, coached, and spoken to over 1,000 clients and groups. I'm also one fabulous baker, and I love a good cold brew vanilla latte. So now you know a little bit about me. Drop in the chat if you're a coffee or a tea person. I'd love to know that. So
what about cupcakes,
are you guys,
Mary?
Huh?
What about cupcakes?
Cupcakes? I love cupcakes too. Actually, my baking thing is I make something called 10-pound brownies. And my friend's husband called them crack brownies because you can't just eat one. Yep. So you guys, there's over 800 million users on LinkedIn. It is a global presence. It's where professionals hang out. It is a professional platform, and that's where business decisions are being made. So whether you are a career professional or a business owner, this is the platform that you need to be on. Not to downplay Instagram or Facebook. Every platform has its uniqueness about it, and it has its place in our lives. But professionally, you need to be over here on LinkedIn. Are you guys ready to find new opportunities, connect with decision makers like CEOs and presidents? This is the platform that you can do that on with an optimized profile. So let's talk about what is an optimized profile. It's one that's completely filled out. Now, this right here is mistake number one. So many times people just put up the basics and they don't fill out all these sections. So I want you guys to all block off an hour after this training or later this week to make sure you have all the sections filled out on your profile and that all your settings are correctly set up. And we're going to go over some of those today. One of the sections that I think is overlooked is the volunteer section on your profile. So who here is an active volunteer or have done volunteering in the past? I want to tell you that I've had people connect with me strictly on what I've put in the volunteer stuff. Yes, they've read the other thing, but when they sent me the message, Isaac, it was like, oh, I see you volunteered at the Surfrider Foundation. Like, it makes me more relatable, right? It's also a way that people can learn a little more about you, like who you are outside of work. So I'm big, I volunteer a lot at my church, and I went to a huge church in San Diego, but we did a lot of good. We cleaned up schools and parks, and I did the Surfrider Foundation. And when I was not able to run, I volunteered at all the races. So a lot of people connect with me because of where I volunteer. So please take a moment and look at that. Accurate, you know what, have someone read it over. I'm dyslexic, I have a lot of typos, I transpose things all the time. So if anyone else out there, have someone else just read it. And someone outside your industry doesn't make sense to the average person. Make sure it's tailored to your industry, and it should be focused, but I want to say this, it should not be boring. You should be the same person online as you are offline, and put some personality into your profile. And you guys, it's free real estate. You don't have to pay to set up your profile. Use it and use all the space that you are given. One of the other sections that when I work with my clients, I always ask them, what did you do for professional growth? Do you have any other certificates or credentials? And I'm always surprised to learn that most of them do, and they haven't listed those on LinkedIn. So when I say go through all the sections, I mean go through all the sections. Make sure every section is added to your profile. The only one I don't have added is patents, because I don't have any patents, but I've added every other section to my profile. So why do you need an optimized profile? Well, I think you already know that. So you can connect with the professionals and the experts that you want to. It is, I like to say, your 24/7 billboard. Have it up, bright lights, everyone's going by it. We are a global community, so people are looking at this 24/7. It helps sell you either as a career professional or the business owner. We're selling and advertising our skills and talents and experience on either one of those spectrums. It increases your chances on being found, and we're going to go over that. And it increases the visibility and the credibility of your brand. And if you're a career professional tuning in today, you need to have a brand in 2022, but that is a different training. So we're going to start with above the fold. I made this bright and eye-catching because I want to make sure everyone's awake. So we've got 4 squiggly arrows above the fold. Did you guys know that you only have 6 seconds to capture someone's attention? When I started in 2014, you had 12 seconds. But we all know that glitter, glitter, or squirrel, squirrel effect, that we all have a little ADD and we're distracted. So you have 6 seconds. How does your profile look? Is it popping? Is it captivating? Here's above the fold. It's your background banner. And in your background banner, there's really 2 that I feel work. It's either a call to action, like I have right here, or it could be reputation building if you're starting off, like a testimonial. One thing that I don't like to see in the background banner all the time is your face again, because you have your profile photo right there. Unless you're like on stage and you're showing that you're a speaker, or maybe you're training someone. But that is my only pet peeve on that background banner. That, and when someone was seen in Forbes, VidCon, Social Media Examiner, and they list like 10 of those icons, in my opinion, that's too showsy, salesy. I don't know what the right word is. Profile photo and cover story. Profile photo, look at the camera, be smiling. You want to be warm and welcoming. I've seen profile photos where the person's not smiling, and they just kind of look scary. I had a guy who looked like Charles Manson, and he was a chef. And I used to do training like, is that someone you want to see with a knife in their hand? Like, you want to be warm and welcoming. The other thing, you guys, who here has a cover story? That's a new feature that was rolled out. And this does help optimize your profile, because it's another way for people to get to know you a little better, because they're going to hear you and see you in action. You have 30 seconds and you can only do it on your mobile phone. So you will need to record that on your mobile phone, and you can go check out Monty's. Monty, I use you all the time as an example of someone just kind of having fun. And then you can go check out mine that really talks about what I do. So I say have fun. If you're fun and you have dad jokes, share a dad joke, make somebody laugh. You like that, Monty?
You got to have likability. That's for sure.
You've got to be relatable, right? So all these things are going to help you be more relatable to the people looking at your profile. And here's the other thing, you guys. Just remember, behind every profile is a person, not a robot. You're talking to one person on the other side. So all these little tweaks can help you be more relatable to really connect with that person. Now let's go to the headline. The headline, you might think of that as your title, and I'm going to say no. Your headline it's not a statement, or it's not a sentence like, I am a recruiter hiring IT engineers. Like, that's pretty boring. What you want to do is make it pop, make it sizzle, make it stand out, but you do want to have some keywords. So if you notice mine, LinkedIn trainer, keyword, right? LinkedIn profile, keyword, speaker, keyword, because I want to be picked up in searches for people that are looking for LinkedIn speakers. So you see how all that works together? And of course, lover of cupcakes. Isaac, it's right there.
I knew it.
I do love me a good cupcake. So this just gives you a snapshot of the above the fold. Other sections to consider are if you're a business owner, the services you're providing, or if you're open to work. You might go, Mare, why do you have open to work? Because I like doing career consulting on the side, still for other small organizations. So that's why I have that there. Any questions so far, Isaac? I can't see, the chat's over here, but
We'll get to, let's just do, why don't you go through and then we'll do panelists and then open Q&A at the end. So you can just keep on rolling.
awesome.
And if anyone has a question, just drop it in the chat and then we'll get to them all live at the end.
I like that. Okay, so customize to optimize. So if you want to rank higher on Google and LinkedIn, you definitely have to have a custom URL. Now I've shown you where that's at right here, and you can see it's my name. I advise my clients to use your name. Why? Your name's not going to change. Your business might, right? If you named your URL Sally's Cupcakes, and then you went from being a baker to a career coach, that's not going to work. And people don't typically, when you're meeting people, they don't typically remember the business, they remember the person. Now, granted, if my name was just Mary Brandt, that would have already been taken. So I use my maiden name in there, Mary Fain Brandt. If your name is Mary Smith, you might want to use your middle initial, your middle name, or a number afterwards. So make sure that you customize your URL. As I said, that helps you rank higher on Google and LinkedIn. Also, when you have a URL that's not customized, kind of indicates that you're not what do I want to say? A user who's not aware of how to do this. And there's two other reasons. It looks better on resumes. You can create a hyperlink on your resume to your LinkedIn profile, which all career professionals should do. And you can add this to your digital business card, or if you still use that paper business card, you can add it there. When you're building out your profile, remember it needs to be buyer centric. And buyer centric is for my career professionals and my business owners. Tell people what you do, how you help them. Okay, let's just stop the glitter effect. People read left to right. And I'm actually, Isaac, I'm gonna bring up, do you see a LinkedIn profile right now?
Yep, I see Abigail's.
Abigail, poor Abigail. Abigail, I'm sure she's smart and savvy and she's all that, but this would be someone who didn't do anything on their profile, right? No background banner. She's, got a decent headshot, but her title, Chief Operating Officer at Onward Reserve. She's wasting that valuable space, that above the fold, those 6 seconds, by putting a very vague headline in there. But what I really want to show you is over here, we read left to right. And when I'm on her profile, I'm going to read left to right, and I'm going to go right here to where it says people also viewed, and I'm going to see someone cool and interesting, and I'm going to click on them, and Abigail just lost me. So keep people on your profile. And I'm going to show you, we're going to go back.
Mary, before you're done, could
Yeah.
we do something? I'll put myself out there. You can say no. Could I put my profile up, and then you can just just thresh it and tell me what sucks?
Well,
Or is that too
but I
off
doubt
the fly?
anything sucks.
Well, anyway, I'm just saying, I'm
yes.
willing to take a few punches to do better. It's fine.
Okay, well,
Just throwing
and
it out
Mike is here.
If we have
Mike's in the house. I got to give Mike credit because he reached out to me before the event and said, I'm excited, to learn from you today, and I'd like to connect. So that's a pro tip. Whenever you guys are attending anything online or in person and someone is speaking, do your due diligence, reach out to them and tell them that you're excited, to learn from them today or tomorrow, whenever the event is, and send that connection request. Because as a speaker trainer, right, I'm going to accept that person. He just gave me a compliment. So there's your pro tip on connecting. So back to people also viewed. So I did a screenshot. You'll go into your account settings and you'll go to site preferences and go down here to people also viewed, and you want that on no, because you want to keep people on your profile, right?
Yep.
Okay. Here we go. So, make it pop. You don't just put text. Probably the biggest mistake I see people do on their About You section is they just have a lot of text. They don't break it up. They don't put, bullet points. They don't keep it short. They don't keep the areas or the paragraph short. They just have these run-on paragraphs. Nobody reads that. We just kind of gloss over that. So really break that up. And the way that I break up an About You section, I'm going to give you my secrets, okay? The About You sections that I wrote 5 years ago don't work today. So that's another tip. What I'm going to tell you today might not work in 3 years because we're always changing. But what you want to do is start with a story, right? You want to hook them. You got 6 seconds. They're going to see 2 lines on your About You section. So start with a story. Then you're going to weave in your accomplishments, kind of the services you provide, the problems that you solve. And then I want you to wrap that up with a call to action. That's one mistake people tend to do on About You sections. And I want you to talk about who you are as a person, because again, people connect to people. We're not connecting to profiles, we're connecting to a person. So be relatable. And we're going to go over some more tips here. So pro tips, we went over this. A custom background banner is a must. You can use Canva or Easel and do it for free, or you can hire someone to do it. If you're not a creative person, don't spend hours trying to create that background banner. Just pay someone to do that. We create those over in my company if you need help. The cover video, so many people don't have this. And again, it's another opportunity for you to really optimize your profile and for you to be more relatable to the people stopping by. I haven't showed you the featured section yet, but we're going to show that. The featured section is amazing. You could put links to your website, to your portfolio, to a freebie to build your email list. You can promote webinars, courses, and live shows. my one thing I want to tell you guys, be yourself. Everyone else is already taken. So please weave some personality into your profile. Okay, and I'm going to show you the featured section in just a moment. I'm just going to get through this last slide and then we're going to go hop over to LinkedIn. The top 3 mistakes in the About You section. Number 1, it doesn't exist. Free real estate, you get 2,600 characters. Why are you not sharing how awesome you are, how fabulous you are, and how you can help other people? Number 2 mistake, you just taken qualifications and your skill set from your resume, and you've copied that in there, or from your website, you just copied it in there. And of course, number 3, there's no call to action, and you need to tell people what to do when they're reading your profile. It could be something as simple as, hey, are you in the design? Are you a creative in the design? I'm looking to connect with more people like that. Please connect with me. It could be book a call. It could be send me an email. And does anyone out there have this yet? In the new feature just released a couple weeks ago, is that you can put live links in your About You section. Anybody have that? Tell me. Because it doesn't work for me yet.
Looking right now, you can put a live link in your About?
A live link, it's true.
Like as the URL becomes clickable, or?
Yes.
It's like, no.
It's happening. It's happening. Okay, so we're gonna jump over to LinkedIn and look at a couple things real quick. Mike Taylor is in the house. He's the one who reached out to me and I said, Mike, can I use your profile as an example? So Isaac, if you're okay, I would.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Mike, this is your time to shine. I'm going to have to charge you $20 though for your free marketing here.
20? No. I'm just kidding. 20? Okay, Mike.
A bargain at half the price.
Right? Definitely a bargain. So we're just going to go over a few things on Mike's profile, which Isaac, you can see his profile, correct?
Yep, we're good to go.
Okay. So as you can see, Mike, you have people also viewed. So you'd want to go into your settings and change that. So we keep people on your profile. Because if someone's looking for a brand expert and they land on your profile, we're going to read left to right. And I'm going to go over here and I'm going to go, well, what else is over here? Marketing manager, right? So change that. I forgot to mention one thing that kills me on About You sections. I absolutely hate it when people talk in third person. You know what? You're not the president of the United States. Don't talk in third person. You're talking to someone else, one other person. Just write your profile. You're talking to one person, right? And so you need, instead of Mike leverages, I would redo this, Mike, but I have to give you kudos. Like, you've got a custom background banner, you're looking at the camera, this is really your tagline. I don't think it's your headline. I think you mean to use this as your tagline, and I like it, but I don't think it belongs here in your headline. We could make that headline stronger and make it pop. And then make your About You section, tell that story. If you're a storyteller, I don't see a story here, Mike. If you're, tell your story, where's your story? So I would tell a story here. And then let's go to your contact info. So you do have Mike Taylor Consulting. That works because I bet Mike Taylor's a pretty common name, right?
Yep.
So you probably couldn't grab just Mike Taylor. So that works. Mike did a great job on the contact information. You've got your phone number, you've got email, you've got Twitter. Make sure that this is filled out. Did you guys know that you can change some of these areas under website? Where's website? Do we have a website? You don't have a website. You can list your website. You can also list a Facebook group if you like. So there's some different things that, you can do in that contact area when you set it up. And I think that is really powerful. And I think I went over, what did I have? 10 to 15 minutes. I tried to make it concise.
Hey, can you bring Mike's back up real quick? Can you redo the share?
Yes, I can. I was just trying to stay on.
One thing I'll add to your titles, not for the URL specifically, like Mike Taylor, so since that's obviously going to be taken, the way the SEO works on Google It's going to take your name first. So you can put Mike Taylor and then put like an underscore the great, something like that. So if somebody searches in Google Mike Taylor, it's still going to bring you up.
Ooh,
All right, Mary.
Pretty awesome stuff. Did I stay on time?
Yeah, you're good. Are you for sure done?
Yeah, you said 10, 15 minutes. So I had to like wrap this, bring it down. And again, you guys, it's an overview. It's why you should, not a how-to on everything. To do a how-to on how to optimize everything, we'd be here for a couple hours. But there's simple things like creating that custom URL with the name. So that you'll be searchable on Google, right? And not having a call to action, understanding what the above the fold is. You've got 6 seconds. Make it sharp, make it pop. I like to say, make it sizzle, capture my attention. I had when I was starting, oh my God, 6 years ago, I was on LinkedIn doing some searches for recruiters because I started as a career coach. And this one account I came across, it said recruiter for what industry, and it said dad, right? So it was Percival, and he said, and possibly Batman. And the gentleman was standing in front of a car that almost looked like a Batmobile. His name's Sean Hervey. I reached out to him. I was like, okay, I just want to know, are you Batman? And that just started, right? He was relatable. It was kind of fun. And he was a recruiter and I was a career coach. I like to have, connections with recruiters, and that started a conversation. And then, we've kept in touch over these years. So if I needed a recruiter in New York, I could reach out to him. So be personable, be yourself. Don't try to be 2 different people, one person online and one in real life. That's way too hard, you guys. I can barely be this version of Mary Fain Brandt.
Okay, so let's move it into panelist discussion. So panelists, if you want to maybe even ask Mary a question or chime in with something that you've learned, some pro tips that you use at your business or that you tell your clients, now is your time. And then in about 15 minutes, we'll move to open Q&A.
Yeah, I'm going to jump in with Mary. I mean, I agree with everything you've said. And now I have to rethink my face on the banner. So maybe I'll mock up on a stage. But in any event, I think the about section, I think that's so important. And telling a story, moving it from third person to first person into a story, and the first few sentences, something that's really personal, very unique about your background, your passion, your why. I'm 100% in on that, I think. And the featured
section. It can be a fun story. So with one of my recent clients, I always say, so how'd you get started? She's marketing for architectural firms, like very, very specific, right? And it all started when she got carjacked. Like literally, we started her About You section with, it all started when I got carjacked. And then we went into the story, how that led. She met this person, they were looking for an office manager, and literally that is her story. And she's been in this industry over 20 years. But we started with something that would make you go, what? And then you want to read more. So that is the whole key, is make someone stop and go, what? Right? So that they'll read more about you.
And I think the features section you were going to talk about, that's going to be important as they roll out this new visibility here. You're going to have the hyperlinks in your about section available on mobile first, but you're also going to get 3 full panes of feature in the features section.
And I have that already. Do you want me to show that real quick?
2.5.
Yeah,
section?
go for it. Absolutely.
Because I did forget, because again, I was really trying to stay on time when someone tells me the time thing. Okay, you guys. So this is your featured section, and you can, I don't know what the limit is. I have too many in there, but what you want to do is you want to keep this updated. So if you're having an event, put it in here. If you have a live show, put it in here. You can see we had an event. This was last week. This was how to tag someone. This is my LinkedIn Accelerator Academy, and it goes on and on. You can see I have over 20, but the great thing is it shows the top 3. Okay. So if you want to edit it, anything with a pencil, you can go on there and edit it. You can, drag these up and down. You can add one. It's super easy. Add a post. If you have a newsletter, put it in here. If it's weekly, update it weekly. If it's monthly, update it every month. You can add links and media. And here you can see, I also have testimonials in here. I have some videos, and I have some of my services listed. And you can easily go in here and if you click on that, which might take a minute. So that's not really going to work right now. Let's just go back. So real simple is that the top 3, and these should always be updated. One thing that I found, like if you want to try to get some more comments or engagement, this is a great place to put that.
Awesome.
So
One thing that I learned and I've observed, so my nickname was Zico, and so I started a company in the past called Zico before we did the merger, and now it's Abound. And so I was like, oh, sweet, I've started my business. I'm going to rename my profile URL Zico. Like, kind of fits, you know? And now it's like, Zico's gone. Now it's Abound Social. My profile URL is still Zico, and it kind of works because it's kind of my nickname too, but also it doesn't really work anymore. So you see a lot of people kind of put stuff in their profile URL, and later it doesn't really make sense. And it's not like bad or anything. You can update your profile URL anytime, but I think it's after like 1 or 2 months, the redirect goes away. And so that causes an issue. Just my own personal experience there when you're wanting to do that. Can I do another one? I don't want to steal the show. All right, cool. When you're doing your cover video, like Mary said, you can only upload it from your mobile device, but you can record it like locally. Actually, you can record it wherever else. You can use like your fancy camera and your nice mic and do some post-production, add some animations, whatever. Obviously it should be you, but you can send that to your phone and then use your phone to upload that version to your profile. So it's kind of a way to get if you don't feel like recording on your phone is high enough quality, then you can kind of do that. It's a nice
like recording on your phone for that is high enough quality. The cameras and recording on our cell phone these days is pretty amazing. So if anyone's like, oh my gosh, I got to record it with the right lighting, I kind of feel like that cover story is a little more casual. Judy, you have a cover story, right?
I do. And if you look at it, you'll learn 2 things about me that you wouldn't necessarily know about me.
And then you could use that in your connection request. Like, hey, Judy, I watched your video. I didn't know that you have a pink pumper doodle.
I drive a Mini. I'm a Mini girl. What a great presentation, Mary. And one thing I wanted to add on that about section, which I think, 90% of the profiles I see have a, because it started out as a resume site. So most people has it as their CV or whatever. The way I approach the about section for business development clients, okay, it's different if you're, career versus business development. But for business development, what I like to do is think of your profile and your presence as breadcrumbs through LinkedIn. So in other words, your photo and that first 40 characters in your headline is like the first breadcrumb. And if that looks good, I'm going to click on that. And then I get to your top of fold and I see, oh, you got a nice banner there. Wow, really interesting. Then I start to scroll. And I think the stat is something like just 20%. I don't know, but it's like from one of the LinkedIn polls, are actually going to read further, right? So now when you get to the about section, I'm looking for a breadcrumb, and Monty, just like, I'm looking for that click. So how do I get them to see more? I want to start with a pain, like stop them in their tracks when they're reading it. So it's like, yeah, see more, just like you do in a post. And then what I like to do is make it customer facing. So we identify a pain point, and that's what you lead with. And then you empathize with understanding the challenges that your buyer is facing. And then you give them 3 to 5 strategies for here's how you can overcome this. And what that does is that really imparts your knowledge and your subject matter expertise. And then you close with a call to action. So it's almost like using the about section more like about your buyer than about you. Because ultimately, yeah, you want to know that I do this and I do that. And it's like, if we met at an event, you're really more what's gonna I think be of interest to you is what's in it for you. So, so it's just a different approach. Not all profiles will benefit from that style, but I find that and you can always close with something interesting. I have a new client and he shares the same birthday with a very famous person. So we put that at the end. they have the same initials and the same everything. So we did something kind of fun, but it's at the end, so you would know that. So anyway, it's just another twist on the ever important
Spot on.
LinkedIn profile.
Spot on,
Yeah.
Judy. I do that too. Like, it just depends on the person and what their objective is on
Yeah.
using LinkedIn. So yeah, you definitely have to, if you're a business owner, you've got
Now,
to hit
what-
the pain points and provide solutions.
One other thing I'll add is on the experience section, you can use the subsequent roles as a way to also present your services. So in other words, I'll lead out with, okay, I'm a LinkedIn trainer. That's one. And then I'll add another role, and it may be workshops. And I'll add another role, and it might be profile optimization. It's all under Judy Hayes Inc. But I have these subsequent roles. So again, for those of you that were asking about keywords and SEO and stuff like that, I think it just gives more weight if you do it like that. And again, it will go to your company page, but it's just another way to use that if your profile is strictly for business development. Okay.
I think that we should really take a moment and just highlight that whatever you're doing on your profile, you need to start with the end in mind, right? Like there's, like you said, Mary, 800 million people on LinkedIn, various stages of their career with different goals and objectives. Some people want to get hired. Some people want to get funding for an M&A. Some people want to do sales. Some people, there's so many different goals and objectives that you need to where do you want to go? Who are you driving to your profile? Who's going to look at it, and what do they need to see? And then kind of that should really influence what you're saying, because it's all about the reader. And the way that LinkedIn works, probably you are going to be driving the views. Your actions will be driving the views usually, whether it's content or invites or whatever. So you're kind of choosing upstream who's going to view your profile. What do they need to see? So, and that's going to change based on, why you're
Your
personally
audience.
using
Yeah.
LinkedIn.
I just put the client's profile in there. We got his URL because it's a very common name. The other Jay-Z is what his URL is. And you can see, if you look at his section, I mean, we just finished this like yesterday, but it's a total 180 from what it was before. And if you go down to the experience section, you can see what I mean by the subsequent roles. So we're still working out some of the kinks there with content and stuff, but the roles are basically the service offerings of the company. So again, it's another way to twist that. So
I break away from the norm a little bit on profiles. Because,
You?
what?
I totally agree with what you're saying about you've got 6 seconds or less to catch somebody's attention. And usually people do not get past that first section. So, and one other thing that I think is a huge fail on LinkedIn's part is what you're really wanting to create. At least what I want to create is social proof. Best way to do that is through your recommendations, and they put that all the way down at the bottom of your profile. But recommendations are so very important, and you want to get as many of those as you can, and you want them to be updated. So on my about section, I just tell people, I'll let somebody else tell you about me. Go to my recommendations, and I point them down there because Chris wanted me to tell the story. He pointed out in the messaging that at one point, just to test my about section, whether or not people would read it, because I had it long, I had it all filled out, story driven, all that kind of stuff. My first line said, "I'll give you $100 if you read my read my about section and tell me what it says." I had it there for 2 months, never paid a dime. So, if you're not catching people really quickly, now where it does come into play and stuff is when you actually are having conversations with people and you actually are communicating, they will go back and look through and try and find more about you. So don't get me wrong, it is absolutely important, but make sure you're catching attention quickly.
And I think if you're, again, with what your goals are, if you are applying for a job and you know that the recruiter or whatever is going to comb over your resume before talking to you, I think that's a different story too.
Yep, totally.
Well, it depends depends on the person too. So the profile should meet the person. If you're quiet and strategic and analytical, I think your profile is going to read more like that. You know, so there's a lot that goes into, like, everyone's profile is different. I think that's what, like, here's some basic stuff you should do, but it really needs to talk, it needs to match who you are. Because when someone gets on the phone with you, it needs, you know, you don't want it to be a disconnect. So mine is bright, cheerful, you know, it has some fun in it because that is who I am. You know, and
So
I think all of these, they all work. It just depends on the person, the industry, and the personality.
Mhm.
So I added another example there. This particular profile I did for a job changer, high-level finance executive. And what happened with him was he was at the top of his game, had a biking accident, and he was out of the work for 4 years. And he was like a global pharma executive. So so we use the Storyteller's Secret. It's a great book, and I recommend it. This is the book, The Storyteller's Secret. But what we did was we used the story of the Titanic, the 3-part story, and you'll see that the first part here where the see more is without warning, everything changed on November 27th as my world literally turned upside down. Whoa, 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 click more, right? And then it talks about the story, and we were building a story of a resilient executive. And so, you know, because he knew that that was going to be a challenge when he was being interviewed for these jobs. It's like, well, you were out 4 years. Are you weak? You know, what's wrong with you? So this is another example of the storytelling method. But again, understanding who your audience is and what might be in their mind, and then positioning your profile. And guess what? It's dynamic, so you can change it, you know? So anyway, that's just another example, but great job, guys. Gals.
That's another tip, is that you guys should be updating your profile. Like Judy, Beth, I know you guys update your profile, your headline, your background banner constantly. And you should be up, you know, we're all busy, but you know, at least twice a year, you should be sitting down, blocking some time, background banner, headline, are my certificates accurate, updating the about section, just giving it like freshening it up. So definitely take some time and update it a couple times a year.
And then I'll just throw in one last one there, and then I'll shut the heck up.
Please do, Judy. I've got my screen ready to go.
This guy was a consultant for the years when he was, you know, not working. And so he had one of those avatar gray boxes, and it was like, this is sketchy. So what we did was we created a company page with his last name, and we used the Z, you know, did it in Canva. So again, it brings credibility, because think of LinkedIn as aspirational, like looking forward how you want to be perceived. And so by doing that, we kind of tidied up the loose ends. And I can't tell you how many people I've come across that have their own companies and they don't have a company page. And it's like,
Right.
Seriously? I mean, that's not hard to create. And they're like, well, I don't
Doesn't cost anything.
I don't need that. Guess what? Again, Google search, LinkedIn, high credibility, high Moz ranking. You're going to show up more if you have a company page. So, all right, now shut me up.
You're good. I was just going to say, and then I want to move into open Q&A. So do you see how this is moving? The people are moving. So you can do, I'll go over here a little bit. It really helps when you're featured. You don't want to get too gimmicky with it, but if you have a GIF either in your post or as the sort of featured link associated for social image, it'll animate on your profile, which kind of just makes it a little bit more jazzy. But when we were doing testing, what we found was you want to be mindful of the dimensions, and this is really important, you need to keep it about 2 megabytes, because if it gets too big, it does not animate. And so just in case you wanted to go that route. Yep. Cool.
But can I add just one last point on the about section? I mean, I think we've said so much about, you know, making it all about your audience and what are their specific pain points and having the call to action, telling a story, but also in all of that, where we're shining the spotlight on it, on your niched audience, be sure do not forget your own voice, because that's one big filter. Use your voice. And like Mary was saying, she's bright, she's colorful, she pops, you know, others are a little bit more subdued, but make sure to find your voice, because that's going to be the biggest filter to connect with your best qualified, high quality clients. So Mine is a little bit snarky, so I lead with that. I'm not afraid about that, right? The New Yorkers here are going, yes. But, so don't forget your own voice in shining the light on your ideal audience too. That's a blend, a sweet spot. I'm out.
I've got 4 questions that I grabbed from the chat as we were going. So some of them were kind of hit a little bit in the chat, but just I want to make time for them. This first one was right at the beginning. I didn't grab your names. I'm so sorry. So, but for multi-language, this actually, I think deserves a minute or two. It's come up for us, working internationally, different languages. Mary, the question was related more to cover story, but maybe you can even give some commentary on just multi-language and different versions and audiences. So when you have a cover story and multiple languages, you get only one video cover story.
True.
What should you do?
That is a great question. And I'm going to say that I don't have a spot on answer. Do you work with different languages? Can you rotate it? Can you record a couple different cover stories and change it every month or something? Does anyone have, because that is, if you are working with clients in let's say 3 different languages, you want to be relatable to them. So if I were to go onto your cover story and it was in French, I'd be like, peace out, right? Because I can't understand what you're saying. So that's a really great question. Could you do a video in your featured section, Isaac? Could you have a call to action?
That's an interesting idea to do that. That's really interesting.
A welcome video in your featured section. I talked about that last year and I never did it myself. I'm really good at staying on top of all the new features and workabouts. I don't always implement them all, but I would record like a welcome video and I would put that in my featured section.
That's a great idea. How about this one? Mary and other panelists as well, feel free to chime in. Mary primary though. Do you think company pages rank better than profile pages? From doing a little searching, the guess was yes, but would like to know your opinions.
Okay, so if I'm understanding the question right, someone's saying what ranks higher, a personal profile or a company page?
In Google, like in a search engine, Google, Bing.
A personal page. I think personal profile. And go ahead and tear that answer up.
I think it depends on the content that you're putting in there. I mean, are you separating the content? How much content are you putting in there? And how is it resonating with your audience on a company or profile? If you have much more content in your company page, won't that bump it up? I mean,
well, and that's why, Viveka, I was saying, like, we're all more active on our personal profiles than our company pages. So out the gate, I'm going to say on average, a personal profile is where the bread and butter is at.
I agree.
Yes, you need a company page. Yes, you should be posting over there. And I know Monty does a great job with a company page, but I strongly feel a personal profile really needs to be polished, and that's where you're going to get the most bang for your buck.
What about when someone looks for you personally in search? In your, let's say your public profile is enabled, which profile fields show up in the search results? Do you know?
Which fields show up?
So like if someone Googles Mary Brandt.
Your headline?
Yeah.
Won't that show up?
It's your headline, your name and your headline.
Your image.
Should we do a quick test?
I think it's just
It's your thumbnail and your headline, I think.
So we're talking about in a search engine like Google. So someone searches for Monty Clark, Abound Social. I think it's first name, last name, title
so on mine,
of your top company
brings up,
and company.
Yeah, I think it's your first name, so your full name. Someone search me right now and tell me what you find on Google.
Okay,
I can't
do it. I'll do it right now. Hang on one second.
Because that's a great question. Where'd Monty go? He knows all this SEO stuff.
He's searching for himself.
He's watching Netflix. Okay, LinkedIn, Mary Fain Brandt.
Yeah, LinkedIn training courses and workshops. And your
Look
head.
at
That's not your head. So
That's my company.
That's
So
That's your
that will
company.
take you to my personal profile. Look at that. I just come up the first 10 right there.
The power
So
of an
that
optimized
is-
profile. Yes.
Ding, 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 ding.
So that, what is that, your company name though?
Yeah,
Mary
I just
Fain Brandt
have Mary Fain Brandt Coaching and Consulting. I want to change it to MFB. Shorter.
You're right there next to Mary on my thing there. So Vivica Hess, JD, Hess Connect.
Number one, this is the number one thing I talk to my audience of attorneys. They say, well, what's the point of optimizing my LinkedIn profile? And I say, listen, it's optimized after the 20,000 you just spent on that like popping website, and their LinkedIn profile ranks more highly than the 20,000 they just spent on a website. They're blown away. And that's the power of a really well optimized profile in the search. Right?
Yeah,
Search.
Google and LinkedIn are like best friends. I read
Is
an
this you,
article
Grace
years
Ruth?
ago
Is this
that
one
they
you?
have a tight relationship. So you just, have that optimized profile, custom URL, and you're just gonna go up, rank high. Sure.
I don't think that one's you. Sorry.
Mine goes
Very
to the
cool.
wrong place. I have to fix that. Thank you for
Oh,
showing.
no worries. It's probably someone else. All right, cool. We've got about 3 minutes left. That's all the questions I had from the chat. Does anybody else, while we still have a couple more minutes, want to jump on with your mic and camera? Just do the raised hands, the raised hand in Zoom so we can keep it orderly. This is your last chance, last call for Learn It All. Laura, you actually raised. Sorry, there's a hand, like raise your hand in Zoom, so it's like a little emoji hand, but that's even better. That's even better. Sorry, Tammy.
I just saw on that Google search that one of those results said today author. And I thought that was really interesting. And what is that? Because it had like company and it had profile and then it had today author. So I wonder whether that's the newsletter coming up or is it something else?
That is a good, hey, actually, I'm going to quick share my screen on that because that was a really good observation. And that was, I just went back in my browser. That was for Vivica, actually. So here we have that, right? Is that what you're talking about?
Yep.
Oh, I
Well,
see.
Yeah, I
And
have not.
it was also coming up for Mary as well.
Let's see here. Oh, awesome. So here, what is that?
I'm afraid to look.
Huh. It's your recent post. They're indexing it as a standalone URL.
And that's ancient. That's really old. I'm
What?
surprised that's
What?
popping up.
That's from
I've-
2019.
Yeah, I have no idea why that's popping up today on today. It's not today.
I mean, that's definitely a Google thing, but
Interesting.
that is interesting that there's a whole, the
Maybe
way
it
that
just got a
Google's
lot of
indexing
views
all
and
this stuff.
It got
Yeah.
sticky.
Yeah, I guess you
It
can
was
make
there for Mary as well.
you can make a strong case that if you are, if you're producing content on LinkedIn, it gives you more real estate in search. So, okay, Tammy, you are next, and then Shireen, and then we'll have to call it. And please, if we can try and keep the questions under 30 seconds, just to be mindful of everyone's time. Go for it, Tammy.
This is awesome. My first time here. Thank you. And William invited me, so this is great.
Yeah.
So this is everything you talked about is fabulous. I can't wait to go dig into this. My question is a little bit off that, but I do regular Facebook Lives like hundreds of weeks in a row. And so I think the question is like, if I'm to leverage video on LinkedIn, like what's like the top strategy to start leveraging, whether it's live or recorded, or just to start leveraging more video, like 20 to 30 minute live teaching, coaching.
So is your question how to best leverage that across multi-channel?
Well, no, I mean, just on LinkedIn specifically. I mean, I haven't been leveraging LinkedIn at all. So like I do it in a Facebook group every single week, but I don't know, like, should I be going live in a group on LinkedIn or just on my profile? Like, what's the best way to leverage video?
Go, Mary.
Go for it, Mary.
I'm
Oh,
on.
sorry.
Don't go in a group. You know, there are very few groups that work. You would go live on your personal profile. You could stream at the same time instead of, recording it on Facebook and then putting it on LinkedIn. There's a couple things. Is it pertinent, since you're doing Facebook, is it pertinent to your, do you have an audience on LinkedIn? Create an event. So there's a lot that you could do with live streaming. So one, you've got to be producing content so that people know who you are on LinkedIn. Like, what are you bringing to the table? Well, they want to watch your show. Create an event and then invite people. The biggest key, remember, Isaac, when you create the event, right? Invite people, because they're not always going to find the event just because you created an event on LinkedIn. Isaac reminded me of that last year. So you can create the event. How are you streaming? Are you doing LinkedIn Live? I got a ton of questions and a ton of answers and strategy for you. So
Yeah.
what are you streaming? Yeah,
Well, so you
sorry,
know,
Isaac.
let's try to keep it on topic here. Tammy, maybe
That's
we
great. Yeah.
maybe we talk about it later. One thing to dig into after this, Tammy, maybe use something like StreamYard to take what you're already doing and then broadcast it to LinkedIn at the same time. And then it does, profile related, it does go to your banner, but there are some things you'll need to make sure are all in line. And a good person to talk to that is Mary, but let's give Shireen her last question here. Let's try to keep it on topic. Great question, Tammy. I'm glad that you were able to make it. All right, Shireen, you're up.
Okay, just real quickly. So when you guys were talking about company pages and it showing up, what happens if you have multiple company pages? Or should you even have multiple company pages? Just a thought on that.
I've got thoughts, but I don't want to be a screen hog. Mary, today's your day.
So if you have, so why do you have multiple company pages? Do you have different products? You know, if you're, there's a lot of questions there, so it's hard to answer. I had 2 company pages because I had the LinkedIn Bakery and then I changed to Mary Fain Brandt. So what was your question again? I got sidetracked.
And that's cool. So I have at least 3 company pages. Well, I should say, 3. One that's specifically dedicated to career coaching that I only do by referral. The second is my personal coaching services that I offer. And then my main business page, which is all about project management consulting. So there are distinctions in the pages. I just don't know if that is a good thing or not, and based off of this conversation today.
I like Viveka's answer. I have 1 company page and service pages.
Oh, okay.
So because what you're doing is you're coaching. Whether it's career, project management, right? It's all coaching. So the umbrella, right? Here's your company page and then the services pages. I think that would be a good strategy. How many people are following does each page have 500 people, 1,000 people following it?
Not yet, but I appreciate that thought in terms of just consolidating them into maybe individual services. I mean, because that's been a challenge. So I do appreciate that. So maybe I can just find the one page that I want to really optimize and then put under these different services. Okay. Thank you so much. Wonderful.
What I tell people too, Shireen, is try to make it reflect. And then Viveka had some great things to say in the chat. And Viveka, I'm going to tell you to tell everyone live, just because people that watch this later don't see the chat. But if you're able. But Shireen, I tell people, make your company page reflect how your business is organized in real life. And sometimes that's just the easiest way. And sometimes it gets a little bit hairy because of just the way things are, and life is just sometimes complicated. But you can, if you're a larger organization and you're watching this later and you've got multiple locations, or your franchise that comes up as well, you can add multiple locations to one company page. And if you are a large company, that tends to be best practice, because then you consolidate all of the data in one place instead of having all these fragmented pieces everywhere. That doesn't work for everybody. Sometimes there needs to be multiple, but there you go. Viveka, you want to be the last person standing?
Yeah, I was just going to say, I mean, if those services are all under one roof, so to speak, and they're interrelated to what you're doing, I mean, I would definitely keep it in one company page. I think for search engine optimization reasons as well, you're getting all that juice driving to that one page. That's really all I had to say about that.
Awesome.